13 minutes after the hour, this is Black Knight Meditations on WSCA LP Portsmouth, 106.1 on your FM dial and streaming live online at WSCAFM.org. My name is Mark. I'll be here till 2 a.m. spinning a whole crapload of Yngwie Malmsteen tracks. And this is an Yngwie radio special because I've got Yngwie coming up in just a moment. We're going to talk about the upcoming tour. We're going to talk about the new record. And I'm going to spin a crapload of Yngwie tunes for hours. I've got the live cuts, I've got the studio cuts, I've got stuff from Steeler, Alcatraz, and your requests. If you've got any requests, email me, blacknightmeditations@msn.com, or call me 603-430-9722 after we're done with Yngwie. Yngwie, you there?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for calling in. Again, as I was mentioning, I am a huge, huge fan of yours. I'm not just some radio guy sent to do an interview. I've actually been listening to you since the 80s. I got those first two records back when I was a little kid, and I've been totally into your music ever since. So first, I want to say thank you very much for calling in, and it is an honor to speak with you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Certainly my pleasure. I do want to point out that you've got a new record coming out called Perpetual Flame. And released on your record label, Rising Force Records. You also started. You also started a tour this week. I think on Saturday, in fact, in Texas.
On the 4th, yeah.
Right. So now you're at home in Miami right now, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, your fans know that you've lived in Miami years ago. You moved there a long time ago, and that you love it there. What I've never found out about you is that why did you move to Miami in the first place? I mean, I know that it's a big contrast from Sweden, where you're from, you know, with the weather and all. But what about Miami? What just drew you there? Why does Miami rock your world?
It's a good question. I actually even wrote a song about it on a new album called Magic City, which is what Miami is called. What happened was I was about 19 years old. I went to Japan with Alcatraz. On the way back from Japan, we landed in Hawaii. And when I saw that blue water and the palm trees and you know, the weather and the beach and all that stuff, so that's it. I was always meant to be in this kind of, you know, tropical thing. And then, of course, I realized that geographically Hawaii is halfway to Japan, so that doesn't work very well. So I stayed in LA for a while, and I moved to New York, and I realized it was too cold. And I worked a lot in England because I had my management in England. So I figured, well, if I just go straight south and check it out, see what happens. And so I went down to Miami Beach, and I tell you, man, I say to myself, wow, this is the place, you know. This is it for me, you know, because I love to play tennis in January, or I always drive my top down my car, you know. Mm-hmm. And so this is my thing, you know.
And you've lived there for quite a while. You built your studio there in your home. You play tennis there. But your fans know this. But what I want you to tell us is that when you're away from touring and album promotion and you're just Yngwie sitting there in your T-shirt and your sweatpants, what is a day in the life of you like at home in Miami?
Well, you know, usually it's I take my son to school, and then I have the whole day, you know, early day, and I like to. Maybe I'll write some songs. I'll play some tennis. I take top off the car, the Ferrari, and, you know, just drive on, cruise around, and enjoy the sunshine. And then, you know, whatever I need to do, you know, go to dinner with my wife, my kid, whatever. No big plan, basically. The music always seems to have a place in it for some reason. I just like always jam around, play around, and you know, it comes naturally. But you know, nothing specific.
You don't
enjoying it, you know.
So you don't have structure in your home life, is what you're saying?
I wouldn't say. Not really. No.
Yeah, you don't strike me as a kind of a guy who has a structured lifestyle anyway. Considering the kind of a career path that you've chosen over the years, it certainly doesn't lend itself well to having some sort of schedule that you live by. Well, perhaps maybe on tour, but that's certainly not at home anyway, I would think. Now, it's balance, you know. Do whatever you want. When you're rehearsing for a tour, do you rehearse down there at your house down there in Miami, getting ready for a tour?
No, I actually have two studios. I have a big sound stage that I actually cut the drums for the albums, and I have a studio that I had built in like this whole old place where we used to be. You know, when it was built, they had servants. So it's where the servants used to live. That's where I had my marshals and they have a big control room and 4 other recording rooms. So it's like a full-blown studio. It's just here, you know. It's very, you know, I'm very lucky in that sense.
And that's where you rehearse for the tours, correct?
In the big one, and which is a mile away or something like that, you know. But the other one, I guess I don't put drums here.
When you are getting ready for a tour, when you're going into rehearsals, do you already have the songs chosen that you're going to be playing on that tour, or do you just rehearse a bunch of different tunes and then choose the ones that the band sounds best playing? How does that work?
Just like you said, break out a lot of songs and see which one sounds good, you know.
Do you take?
Because they always tend to come across a little different when it was, you know, when it's full blown live. You know, it's not really always the same. You know, because in the studio, no matter what, you always tend to like put some overdubs, and you know, sometimes they fly, sometimes it doesn't. You know.
Do you take fan feedback into consideration when putting together songs for a live set list?
Well, yeah, kind of, a little bit.
Because
the drummer always wants to play. It's always a funny joke. He always has the same song. Let's do Don't Let In. Let's do Don't Let In. I said, yeah, whatever. And a couple of years ago, I said, okay, we'll do it. And he was like so happy, you know, because we don't normally do it, you know.
You know, because there are guys like me, you know, in legions of your fans who go see you live every chance we get, and we want to hear, you know, these somewhat forgotten songs, at least live anyway. And, you know, every once in a while when you go out on tour, you will pull out a song that was not expected, at least to me. I didn't think you would pull out Demon Driver, and yet you did a few tours ago, and you've been playing it ever since. And I was shocked by it. I was pleasantly surprised.
It's a really good live song.
It's just a really good song, period.
Yeah.
And I never would have expected you'd pick that song to play live, and you still have been. I like that. Now, but what about guys like me who are willing to send you cash in the mail if you'll play certain songs? I mean, what does it take?
The thing is, it's becoming more and more difficult every time.
Yeah, you've got so many songs.
Exactly. So every time I put a new record out, it's even more tough, you know. And I've also realized in the last few years that, you know, it's actually better to do a very tight set, a very, like, you know, aggressive set, than drag it out for a long time. So that's two things that make it even more difficult, you know, to pick. And I have, you know, other songs that I really feel like, well, I should play.
And I'm sure you're referring to like songs like Black Star and Far Beyond the Sun, right? Ones that you always do.
Far Beyond the Sun, I really dig. You know, Black Star it's for many years I said no, I'm not doing it, and I'm doing it again. You know, but as I said, it's becoming increasingly more difficult.
Right, and you know, there's some of those songs that your core fan base really love, and that you've either haven't played in years or maybe have never played at all ever. I'm thinking of like songs like Marching Out or Little Savage, you know, Fire, Eclipse. You know, I love those songs, and I figured like if I ever met you like at a tour stop or just out in the street in Miami somewhere, like, you know what, if I had 1 minute with you to talk to you about something, it'd be like, what have I got to do to get you to include these old songs in your set? You know, because we're passionate. Your fans are passionate about what you do. You know, and we'd like to hear Pyramid of Cheops back in the set. You know, or even something like Tomorrow's Gone. So, you know, I'd be willing to send you some cash in the mail. You know, to sort of push you in that direction. You know.
Yeah.
Now, when you're on tour, how do you stay sane? You've toured. You've been doing this for, you know, over 25 years. How do you stay sane when you're on tour? When you're not on stage, how do you spend your days? I mean, you've been to these cities, I can imagine, so many times. How many times can you possibly go sightseeing?
Yeah. No, it's just, you know, you watch a lot of movies and just, you know, hang out, and, you know, the bus has to be really comfortable, and, you know.
So you're more of a bus guy?
You should. I like the bus, yeah. I usually like to spend a lot of time at the gig, do a lot of sound checking and jamming and really take opportunity to utilize that time to do, you know, to work on new songs even, you know. And it depends on where you are, too. I mean, it depends on which city you're in, what country you're in, whatever, you know.
How, well, let's talk about, for this particular tour, how available will you make yourself to the fans?